Good morning. It is Sunday, February the 9th, 2020. We'll go through our indicators to see what Bitcoin is doing out of this strength that's coming through. We're going to take some time to look at what's going on with Bitcoin dominance as Bitcoin strength is going up. And we'll stop for a minute at the end of the video and we'll look at the alerts versus the holds here on Binance and on Poloniex. And we're also going to take a look at a couple live examples from our trade alerts. 92%, 132%, 185% trade calls that we made, 46% recently, and we're going to talk about why we got into those. Now, let's jump into Bitcoin prices and we'll go through our weekly relative strength index and zoom in. This is starting to look to me like 2015 when we had this blow off top here. Let me circle it. So I'm watching for the RSI to be doing something like this. And as we zoom in, I really want to take apart what happened on this time frame and watch for that same thing to be happening now as the volume peaks and it's going crazy. This is the top formation that we'll be watching for now. Let's zoom in on our time frame now. So the weekly is going up. As we were saying just the other day, now that it's breaking these levels, it seems like we're likely going to get something like this back here. And while the natural question is to guess how high this might go, that's not our job. Once we're into our trade and we have our stop loss above our entry, it's up to the market how high it's going to go. We're just going to keep zooming in and watching for that 1, 2, 3 formation to form. So here on the 12-hour time frame, we are up into a definite overbought territory. And all the time now, we're going to be watching for a break of the trend lines from this movement here. All the way along here, we're watching for the break of the trend line, break of the trend line. Now that it's on its way up, we're looking for the break of the trend line pulling back for the next wave up. Let's zoom in time frames because this was giving us the trend line the opposite direction that we were watching for. We were saying as this was building up and going sideways and the RSI was pulling back, this is like, for me, it's like running through the bush and you're following your friend and they don't take care of the branches of the in front of you. So this branch, as they're running, they pull it forward and then it snaps back and hits you as you're running behind your friend. This is my experience with them pulling the branch back and snap. So the branch got pulled back and you're not aware of it. You're not paying attention to your friends not paying attention. So anyway, here it is, building up, snap, building up, snap, building up, snap. And then when we're watching it in the longer time frames, that is not oscillating like this, but is keeping the trend line. And this is happening along the longer trend line here, this oscillation. So as we get up to the top and we're watching for these oscillations, when it breaks this trend line, that's going to be important because we're going to be coming down to new levels. As it breaks this trend line here, the inner upward trend line here, this is going to be important. All the time now, I'm just watching for top formations and I'm not looking for a sell signal. I'm not looking for an exit signal. My entries are far enough back that I'm just sitting and watching. Go into the 15-minute time frame. Now this is where I'm starting to pay attention and this is what I'm watching for. The 1, 2, 3 top formation on any time frame, any size at all. And this will create our larger 1, 2, 3 that we're actually looking for. So the number one point will have its own little tiny 1, 2, 3 formation. Then prices will come back. They will retest this and they will break the trend line. That is a 1, 2, 3 top formation that I can take an action on because the exponential moving averages on the 4-hour time frame would have crossed. So until all of that happens, I'm just watching. All right, now let's zoom into the on balance volume. We still haven't really gotten the big swarm of volume just by looking at the weekly here. What's going on? Like this is way further in Bitcoin's future. All of this stuff is going on. It's all around the world. We got all these other on ramps going on. And this puny little bit of volume has made the price move that much. Let's go back to that 2015 rush. There was a lot of volume going up to that. We still haven't seen any of that volume. And if we're going to get that kind of volume, we're going to go way, way higher. We'll be over recent highs in no time and in a shocking way. So let's continue to watch. And I'll continue to watch for that top formation while sitting on the holds I have. So this is continuously strong positive volume from a negative. It gave us the divergence, and now it's just holding itself in strong positive here. It hasn't given us the big whoosh of volume yet, but holding steady positive here. We can go into the closer time frames, and again, we're seeing strong volume. It's not giving us a big weakness across here yet. And we will see that as it's playing out. This is what I'm zooming in for, is to look for this kind of divergence, to see that we have a big, strong buying on this and less buying on these moves on the way up. So we still haven't seen the big whoosh of volume yet, but volume is easing off a little bit on each of these moves. It really is craziness what we're seeing here in the charts, especially when we get to the MACD here on the weekly, and we're seeing this cross to the positive. It is quite bullish. It is insanely bullish. $60,000 per Bitcoin kind of bullish. And I hate to make those kind of moon projections because they seem ridiculous when you're at, I don't know, $500 and you're saying, we're going to 20,000. Okay, but now that we've already gone from 500 to 20,000 and we're sitting here and we're doing this in the charts, we haven't hit the volume yet. It's a good day to be holding Bitcoin. And here it is on the daily time frame, flaring wider, gaining strength as we're building up above these levels. This is not yet losing momentum. Even though I'm shopping for top formations and I'm watching for it, as we zoom in on this, it is showing a gain of momentum and an acceleration going on here. We have not yet hit the blow off top. And this is accelerating here just as we're breaking out of these levels. So I do want to continue to pay attention to this divergence as we're zooming in on time frames, because here it is again on this time frame. So if this was to cross negative, I want to pay attention to that. Anytime this is crossing negative now, as we're making a potential top formation, I want to pay attention to it all the time, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Nothing for me to do, just watching it. So now let's zoom in on the next indicator, the Ichimoku cloud. We are going through the cloud here and still have not twisted to the positive here, which is curious to me actually. The blue line is coming up to cross over the red. The last time the blue crossed over the red, we went up on quite a move, even though it was through a red cloud. When's the last time we went through a green cloud like this? We didn't. We've never gone through a green cloud. I don't know. That's new. And now let's go into the daily time frame. It's clearly in a strong uptrend. This is far away from the cloud. The cloud is, everything is all straight up. Just as we were over here, we're a long ways away from the cloud. So as it comes down and consolidates, and it's going to give us the nitro signals over and over again as we're going along now. As it pulls back and it starts to consolidate and give us more, there's 1, 2, 3 on the inner trend, that's going to give us more buy signal opportunities. And these are the add-on signal opportunities that we don't do in the bull market watch. That's just for a positioning, but we do that in the pro alerts where we're paying attention to our initial position. We want to hold that just like an investor. And then we're watching for those add-on moments, what I call nitro trades, where you could put on leveraged trade because you already have your initial position in place, like a profit protection, that if it does screw up, you're going to go back to zero only and you're not actually going to lose money. So the structure of building those trades is really important for risk control. Anyway, let's go in now. 12-hour time frame, strongly bullish. Also the same thing, nothing to do but sit on this. There's no sell signal building up in this. In the 4-hour time frame, it's not giving us a sell signal. It is pulling off of this cloud. It was a really good buy signal right here. This was a great nitro signal as well. I'm really keen about the Bollinger Bands now too. We have gone through the weekly mean reversion and we are pushing up to the other side of the weekly. And I'm looking back through the charts to say, when's the last time we went from the bottom of the weekly in the bands all the way across to the top of the weekly of the bands, and there is none. There is one where we went from the bottom of the band all the way across the band and up through it, and then we came back and we started running the band at narrow. So this is what I'm watching for now. This big blow off top, because we are going through the bands in the same way now. So I'm watching for this big blow off top just under the 20,000, really. Just by eyeballing this and seeing what everything's telling us here and seeing what happened in 2015, considering that we could get that kind of whoosh of volume if we're coming up to these levels. As we're coming up to any of these levels, I'll be watching even more closely for that top formation. Daily time frame, we are moving up along the band, just holding inside the second standard deviation. And this is definitely trend city as we're staying in between these two ranges here. 12-hour time frame, we're pushing up between the second and third standard deviation. The 4-hour time frame, we're in between the second and third standard deviation. So this is really starting to show how bullish it is, and it kind of overextended actually. The more it gets outside of these standard deviations, the more I want to pay attention. Here, as we're moving into the 1-hour time frame, if we are having the 1, 2, 3 top and the standard deviation, the mean reversion on the 12 and the 4-hour, this is going to show us the 1, 2, 3 top. We are going to go sideways a bit and then it'll break. So we can zoom into the 15-minute time frame knowing that we have a 12-hour mean reversion and a 4-hour mean reversion. We're watching for this 1, 2, 3 top and just watching. Now, Bitcoin dominance. This is really important because the altcoins have definitely been outstripping Bitcoin. They've actually been outperforming Bitcoin since January 29th. And if I bring up this benchmark study over here, we can see that from January 29th, if you had bought all of the altcoins, they are outperforming Bitcoin in general by 23%. If you had bought this group of altcoins, just these few, you would be up by 30%. That means you could sell all of your altcoins right now and you would have 30% more Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin was going up. You were making more if you were holding alts at this time. So the big question is what's going to be happening now with the alts? As we zoom out to the 12-hour time frame, we can see that the exponential moving average for the Bitcoin dominance crossed over this 15-minute trend line here. It may pull back and consolidate a bit, but overall, altcoins are in the trend now. For me, this is showing that it's changed directions. And I'll have to see top formations in all of the alts and have them pull back pretty significantly for me to change my opinion. Once we've crossed this top formation, as we have, these top formations generally happen quickly, and I want to be prepared for that. If Bitcoin dominance comes back and down to these levels and then starts to make a consolidation, then I want to pay attention. So all of this is super interesting to me. And I really like that we can average all of that data. And if you'd like to have that inside data about what's going on with Bitcoin dominance and which coins are in alert and a hold stance, be sure to check out the Bull Market Watch spreadsheet over on the website. There's nothing else like that. We get special reports now that are going through the alerts and through the hold stance coins and reviewing them. Which ones could you get into now? How should you be dealing with halfway through the bull market of the altcoins? This is all part of the Bull Market Watch program. If you're a more aggressive trader, then you're going to want the entries and the exits and the screenshots that are giving you our trading plan for all of these. Let's go take a look at a couple of these top trades and see what's going on. Let's take a look at BitShares as well, ENJ. All of these coins, they're over 29% in profit. And let's see. Here's our 1, 2, 3 bottom formation in ICX. We published this on January 19th. So let's go over and take a look at ICX. So here we have ICX coin making its long downtrend. It made the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. Then on the 19th of January, this is the 15th. Let's see if I can go sideways. There we go. The 17th, 18th, 19th. There is the alert put out saying that if it breaks above this level, we should be getting in. So the alert was fired or turned into a hold status on about the 25th of January. And let's just go through this quickly to show what happened with this one. Really insane, fantastic profits in this. So our stop loss would be above our entry for that initial trade. And we're watching now for the nitro trade, the add-on trade in this market. Let's take a look at another example. Okay, here's an example from RLC that we put out this alert back in October. And we are still holding this at a wonderful profit. And you can see here, October 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It came up, it pulled back, but it didn't come back anywhere near to our initial position. We looked to add on to this instead of taking profits on this. I think this is going to be going considerably higher, and now we'll have a larger position safely because we built our position carefully, starting off with our bottom position in October, leaving our stop loss just above our entry, letting the market do its thing. As it came back and consolidated, we found our place to add on. So now we have our full position and we can sit and wait for this to show us how far is this going to go over the next few years. Beautiful trade, really great example. I love to see that it's up such a great percentage off of our initial entry, but that doesn't show how much profit we could make because stage 4 of the trade is actually where the big money comes in. So if you're buying and selling all the way through here, you're probably not making that much money. If you take position, you wait for the market to go along and you add on to the positions that are doing well, in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, you are going to so outperform everybody else. It is crazy. Let's grab one more example here. What is this? Zen coin. We have another example that was BitShares. We have another example that was ENJ. And you can see the patterns that we're looking at in all of these coins. You can learn these patterns. You can learn to recognize these patterns. You can put these patterns to work for you. You can make your money work for you. You really can. Let's take a look at Zen chart here because this is an older alert from October 25th. So here we go again from October the 25th. We got into this trade, put our stop loss above it, and now it's up to the market to see. And it hasn't really pulled back into a position that gave me a place for a nitro entry. Even though this is a 1, 2, 3 formation right here, it didn't really pull back significantly enough for me to really sink my teeth into it. So I would just be sitting with my initial trade. I might add on to it if it consolidates into an ascending wedge and it looks like it's going to break above here, maybe. But right now, it was just that initial position and just watching it. All right, let's look at BitShares. This is a more recent example. You can see the long down trend. And so when Bitcoin dominance is topping out and starting to come down, and you see this formation setting up, and a couple other coins have all taken off, it gets to be a little easier to pick these coins out. So when we take a look at what happened with BitShares, as it came down to this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation and consolidated, we said, hey, alert, 1, 2, 3 bottom formation setting up here. Now, because we were alert ahead of time, we could plan out our trade. We could put out our entries and our exits. We could do a one cancels other trade over on Binance to be prepared for it in advance. And then as it takes off, as soon as it takes off, you're in the manual driving for the first little while to get your stop loss above your entry. And now we're watching for this for a much longer setup for a turnaround. I don't know. It's done some amazing moves in the past in its history. And so now we can have our initial position. We can stop and wait for it to consolidate, and then we'll look for our add-on position on this later. One more example, ENJ coin, just because it's a really recent example. And in this screenshot, you can see that it consolidated for a while. We did pick up a trade here as it broke out, but it came back and stopped us out. So now that it's come back and created a new 1, 2, 3 formation that's actually just above this range all the way back along here, that's pretty inviting. So I put out this alert for it, and let's see how it turned out. And now prices are up above our entry far enough we can have our stop loss above our entry and sit and wait for this one to do the same thing as we're watching in many of the others. I want it to come up, hit some support and resistance from the past over on the left there. And as it comes back and hits some support and resistance from, over on the left there, and gives me a 1, 2, 3, this is where I'm going to be putting on my big trade, actually. This is where the real money goes on. This is throwing the mattress out the second story window. So I have some cushion so that when I jump out on the big trade, my average entry is actually going to be between the two, and my stop loss is going to be above my average entry when I put this trade on. I already know mathematically that I'm not going to lose any more money than my initial position here. I am protected from this initial position. This is where the big money is made in the stage 4 of the trade. So if you are subscribed to a trading service that says, here is our entry and here is profit target 1, 2, and 3. You are being completely ripped off, and you are going to be forever trying to fight to get back into the market, back into the market, back into the market. You're being hooked to their signals because they're not keeping you in for the trend. They're not really worried about your long-term profits. They're worried more about their signals being showing that, oh, look, if you would have followed us, you would have made 40%. You would have made 60% or whatever. And you're back out of the trade. You missed the entire trend because you took your profits too soon. So there are two mistakes that most traders make. It's holding trades after you get in, right? FOMO in after the move happens. And then you're holding as it's in a loss, hoping it goes up higher, waiting. So this is a trading mistake, the timing of it, trying to get in afterwards instead of recognizing that this is the only moment to swing the bat. As the ball comes across the plate, that's the only moment to swing the bat. You don't want to be swinging your bat after the ball has gone past the plate because it doesn't work, right? There's a moment to get into these trades, and you have to know it, you have to practice it, you have to wait for it. The second mistake that most traders make is taking profits too soon. Because you get into a good trade, it starts to come up, and as soon as it starts to come back, you get fearful. The market is going to take away your profits. You're going to be into a loss again, like it was in the past. And so you take your profits to ensure that you have them, only to watch the market consolidate and go way higher, and you realize that if you had done nothing, you would have made more money. So those two mistakes at the beginning of the trade and holding a loser, getting in at the wrong time, and taking the profits too soon when we are absolutely in a trend and you start to be jumping in and out of the market. No way. Get into it, sit, go and do other things. Once you're into this position, you should be much, much less time sitting on the charts. You should be being happy someplace and spend time with your family. Call your mother, call that old friend you haven't talked to in years instead of looking at the charts. So this was a longer episode. I hope you found this really interesting. If you want to get even more detail, if you want to get the good stuff, come and join us over on the Bull Market Watch, or come and grab the Pro Alerts, because the Pro Alerts aren't going to steer you into taking profits too soon. We're going to get into that first initial stage, and then we're going to be using our nitro trades to add on and take profits on that second level of the trade. We're not going to get rid of our initial base positions. Those are protection for us. We need those. I can go on all day, and I do, over on our Discord chat. If you've watched all the way through here and you're not part of our Discord community, click on that link down below. Come and join us. We'll see you on the next episode as Bitcoin prices endlessly entertain us. Cheers.